Hello, everyone. It's Brian here. Hope you had a good weekend. In Ontario and other parts of Canada, it was Family Day on Monday, which meant a long weekend for most people. So that was kind of cool. And that's all I'm going to say about the weekend, except that I didn't leave the house on Monday, which for me is a victory. If I can go a weekend without leaving the house, I think that's fantastic. That's my goal. It often doesn't work out because of things like shopping. So this is part 4 of bad record covers. I might have did I call it bad record covers? Sometimes I say terrible record covers. Record covers that do not appeal to me. Record covers that I do not like. In some cases, I don't like the record itself. In other cases, I like the record, but not the cover. And, all right, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. So I picked 5 more for this installment, and I'll start with a new romantic band. This came out in 1982 from a band called Talk Talk, their first full-length release. The Party's Over. Now, they were billed as some sort of a new romantic synth pop band that was supposed to be as great as Duran Duran, for example. And they never really hit that mark on this record. I think this is a sort of even as a first record, I think it's transitional because it sort of hints at where they're going to go. And if you know them, you know that they become much more sophisticated, much more complex, and ultimately much more minimal, ultimately. But let's just look at this weird cover design. So I'm not going to name the artist here, but so this is The Party's Over, and maybe you're supposed to be sad. You know, there's this person is crying here after all that the party's over. They have obviously applied makeup for this party. We have these lush red lips, and most alarmingly, we have lips for eyes. Now that to me is probably the most distressing thing about this image. One is winking at you. One of the eyes is winking. One of the eyes is crying, which is alarming, and it's floating in this sea of whiteness, and the face itself has a very flat look to it because it's obviously it's two-dimensional, but it makes it look really disorienting, and I just find it weird to have these bits of color pop in this ultimately pretty white and boring background. And on the back, I'm not sure which is worse, the front or the back, but on the back, I don't know if these are the band members, but they're parts of their faces, again, slowing in the abyss of emptiness here. Did I say flowing? Floating in the abyss of emptiness here, which is kind of also a little distressing. And here we have just these green labels. And, you know, as I said, this record is not bad. It's certainly not as good as what they did later, and it does have a couple hit singles. And maybe hints of what they're going to do later, but I think the album cover is a total disaster. And don't take my word for it. Check out this quote that I found on a YouTube video. Fantastic album, and probably one of the best album covers ever. Oh, wait, that's actually not quite right there. I don't know if I agree with that, but I don't know. Oh, speaking of that, there is some weird symmetry with the next one. The next one is called Lost Boy, a.k.a. Jim Kerr. Of course, Jim Kerr is the lead singer of Simple Minds. Simple Minds had released an album in 2009. I forget the name of it because I'm still trying to catch up with everything after the 80s. And then in 2014, they released an album. This came out in 2010. It's kind of the filling in the gap between the two. And apparently, Jim Kerr wrote songs for a second solo record, but instead that became their next record called Big Music in 2014. So this is really a Jim Kerr solo project, but it's called Lost Boy, a.k.a. Jim Kerr. And there is a face here on this really ugly background. I don't know what this is supposed to be, but it's paper, maybe. If you look between if you look within the eyes and the nose and the mouth, you'll see that these are masks, some sort of masks in there. Here's the back of it. And that mask motif gets repeated in certain places, like here on the cover in the gatefold. There's a mask there, and again on the label itself. And in my mind, this maybe should have been the album cover, Lost Boy. I mean, is this a Peter Pan thing? I don't know, but I think that would have been a better image. There were a couple of singles. I think in Europe there were a couple singles off here, and they do a cover of Bulletproof Heart, which is from the Silencers. And if you don't know who they are, they were the remnants, I guess, of Fingerprints. If you don't know who they are, well, you'll have to start over and look it up. But this isn't a bad record. Certainly, maybe not as good as Simple Minds. And this is one of the cases where I think that maybe the album cover influenced my decision about the music. First of all, I wasn't sure I wanted to buy it. I got it on a really good deal, and I was like, it's so ugly. What does that say about the music? You know, don't judge the music by the album cover, but I kind of did on this one. It's better than the album cover, but it did make me wonder, and I don't play it very often, probably because I have to look at that. All right, so that was 2010. So, here's in case you care, the hype sticker from that one. Not that it's that informative. And then here's an artist that I absolutely adore. I think she's fantastic. And this is Kate Bush's The Red Shoes. This is an album that would fit into the category, the cover would fit into the category of things that just don't appeal to me. I don't like the font. I think the font is a really bad choice. But it is well put together, the nice circular image. I like the way it looks. It pops out. The red is in here. The red here is nice. But these shoes, this ballerina's feet, I'm not a foot person. I don't like dance. I don't like ballet. So this had 0 to recommend it to me. Here's the back, which is much more pleasing. A bunch of fruit. And the inside here, lyrics. And I'm also a little ambivalent about this record. On the good news is we have Rubber Band Girl, which I think is one of her best singles. I rate that really highly. Eat the Music is pretty good. Big Stripey Lie is good. I knew that Prince was going to be on this record, and Why Should I Love You is here with Prince, and it's not bad. But when I first heard it, I thought that's the best they could do with Prince. You bring Prince into a project, and that's the best you can come up with. But probably a record that is lower in my Kate Bush ranking, and the cover image didn't help. I just don't like it, but maybe that's more about me than about anyone else. Here we have something from 1983, a compilation record from Joan Armatrading, and this is called Track Record, and with a very literal interpretation of the title of the album. This is a compilation, as I mentioned. So here she is standing on top of a piano getting ready to run, waiting for the starting pistol, I think. But she really needed a coach here. I'm not an expert in sprinting. I was in the high school track team. And that is not a proper stance when you're in the set position. That is simply wrong. So someone should have advised her on that. It looks terrible. I don't like what she's wearing, really. It's weird that she's standing on a piano. On the back, though, she's standing in front of a pole. Now, why would you do that? Is it a light pole? I don't know. I mean, it's a fine record. It covers her career up to 83. And I think it's fine, but I give that a 0. And finally, I have chosen a record from 2013 from New Order. Still left it in the string here, so it's a bit funny, but it's called Lost Sirens. And to put that into some context, their previous record, which was in 2005, was called Waiting for the Siren's Call. And all of the tracks on here, compiled into Lost Sirens, were like outtakes or things they didn't use from the previous record, or things that may have been B-sides as well. And so I guess to get the sense of knitting things together or quilting things together, they have this pattern here of, I guess they represent the songs. By the way, it comes with a inner sleeve, and by the way, this was the last record with Peter Hook. It comes with a CD of the tracks, and there are 8, I think there are 8 tracks, which is weird because there's 9 patches on the front. I guess you discount the black one in the middle. So the last one with Peter Hook, and I just think it's a little uninspired, but I think in some respects it matches the cover, because I think the cover is really uninspired too, and I think almost anything would have been better. Even a band photo would have been better, or even maybe something like that would have been better on the front cover. I just find it a little wanting. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you next time.